Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Black Women Amplified, the podcast. Your host, Monica Wisdom Tyson, brings you downloadable conversations that matter to women around the globe. We discuss all things Black girl magic, amplify our voices, and transform our challenges into triumphs. Monica calls on her league of extraordinary women to push our boundaries, share their expertise, and stories of personal transformation. Welcome your host of Black Women Amplified, Monica Wisdom Tyson.
Hello, Black Women Amplified family. This is your girl, Monica Wisdom, and I'm so excited that you're here with us today. We have a very exciting show and a very special guest, and I can't wait to introduce you to her. But I'm sure you already know her. But before we get into all the things, I want to remind you to visit www.blackwomenamplified.com. That is our home on the internet, and it houses our shop where you can buy merchandise, as well as our blog where you can hear my inside thoughts and hear more about our power partners, as well as more information about our incredible guests on the Black Women Amplified podcast. Today we have a very special show because our guest was my very, very first interview on the Black Women Amplified podcast. And she has come back, and we are moving into the 100s when it comes to episode numbers. So it is divine timing, and it is a full circle moment. And I'm so excited that she's back with us to talk about her fourth book. The extraordinary Jayne Allen returns to the Black Women Amplified podcast to introduce her latest novel, The Most Wonderful Time, an incredible story filled with adventure, a bit of Black history, and juicy love stories. Jayne is a multi-gifted Renaissance woman who is a Harvard Law grad, a former music industry executive, working with icons including Lady Gaga and Prince. Her Black Girls Novels series has garnered major success, selling over 300,000 copies worldwide. So let's please give author, entrepreneur, Renaissance woman, a warm Black Women Amplified welcome as we catch up on her latest adventures and as she introduces us to her new novel, The Most Wonderful Time. Hello, Black Women Amplified family. I am so excited. This is a full circle moment. We have an incredible guest with us today, Miss Jayne Allen. And here's the incredible full circle moment is that she was my very first interview on the Black Women Amplified podcast. And now we are circling around episode 100, and she's joining us again to talk about her fourth book, The Most Wonderful Time. Hello, Jayne. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I am doing so well. I always tell people I need to start recording the offline chitter chatter.
I know we've already had a full fantastic conversation. So I am doing so well. I'm so excited to be talking with you and to be a guest on your 100th episode. So
I appreciate you being here, and thank you for saying yes. Now, you are a 4-time published author.
yes.
And that is so exciting. I celebrate you, all the flowers, all the flowers, all the flowers. And I want to catch up with you because there's been a lot going on since your second book, now your fourth book. But I want to get into this book because it is so good.
Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that.
This book is sexy, romantic, and it is real. And it's a slow start, and then boom, you are hooked to the end of the book. And I'm telling you, by the time the book ended, I was like, wait, this is the last page? Your main characters are Ramona and Chelsea. Tell us about these women.
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited for everyone to meet them. I'm so glad you got a chance to meet Ramona and Chelsea. First, I love this book, and I'm so glad to hear that you loved it. It's meant to feel like a world within the pages. And when you open it, it expands and blossoms in your mind. And so the two women that kind of hold down the story, you meet Chelsea first, and you meet Chelsea, and you also meet Malibu, California, which is one of the key locations of the story. So in the beginning, it's meant to be a kind of easy introduction. You ease into the introduction, you meet Chelsea, you meet her where she is. She used to be this super high profile, high flying artist. Her career took off very, very early in her 20s, and she doesn't even know herself how things took off so well. But she was a contemporary artist in Los Angeles and had an incredible career. And her parents are from Europe. They're Scottish family, and the nobility in England, and inherited wealth. And they suddenly passed away. And she's left with sort of the pieces of a life that she never really figured out how to got all put together in the first place. And so she's dealing with some grief and just loss in general, and this sense of she's not herself, and her work was paying the bills quite well previously, but now with this house and all these responsibilities in Malibu, taxes are due, and she's got to figure something out quickly. That something leads to making an opportunity for Ramona Tucker, who's the second protagonist of the book. Ramona is a Black woman from the South Side of Chicago, super accomplished, assistant and working in finance, and she's at an architecture firm. And Ramona is very much also a checklist person, similar to Tabby in many ways, and also very different. And she's theoretically engaged. She's been planning her wedding. And as far as her family and friends know, all is well, except it's not. She actually broke up with her fiance weeks before and is trying to hide that from her family. And the only thing that would get in the way of her plan of giving her currently ex-fiance a little bit more time to change his mind is her mother's over-the-top Christmas Eve party that she has. And if she shows up by herself, then everybody's going to know what's up. So this is how the story kicks off. These are the two people you meet straight away, and they are going to wind up switching places and stepping into each other's lives.
Now, why was it important for you to tell their story?
Well, I started with Ramona. All my books will have a Black woman protagonist, just FYI. And also in the life that I lead, my life is very integrated in terms of all kinds of perspectives of people from all kinds of different backgrounds in my life. And I think that informs my view on humanity itself. I think you have to look at the human journey and who we are as people from all kinds of different lenses and perspectives. And at the end of the day, that's what we're doing with this book. This is a book about healing. And there's a lot of things that we need to learn from all kinds of different perspectives to really successfully complete that journey. And so I needed to have sort of a counterpart to a counterbalance, a sort of mirror image in a lot of ways of Ramona. And that's Chelsea. Chelsea has a different degree of societal privilege. Chelsea has a different take on life. Ramona is a finance director at an architectural firm, so she has a different relationship to a creative career. She's very interested in creativity, and expressing herself, but she can't take the risk of a creative career. And we have Chelsea, who actually wound up being a successful artist kind of by happenstance, but has fallen away from her for various reasons. Some of them are because she needs to take a healing journey. So to look at this journey of healing, we have these two characters that really round out that perspective and that journey so that the reader themselves can take that journey alongside these people. And I think, especially when you're doing things within America as we know it, I feel like it's important to take into account the different experiences that people have on the basis of how society classifies them, the different levels of privilege that they have in society, the different types of exchanges, interactions, and things that are available to them on that basis. So that's why it's these two characters. I thought that these two characters round out this opportunity to show a journey of healing from a human perspective.
I remember you talking about this book when we did our interview previously, when you were on book 2 of the Black Girls Must Die Exhausted series, trilogy, I should say. And you were talking about this book and you were having to do some research. So tell us about the research it took to develop this story.
Oh my
Because there
gosh.
are parts of this book that are very, very specific. And so I'm like, she had to do research in this.
I had to do so much research. So I'm from Detroit. So I know Detroit, obviously. I live in Los Angeles. I know Los Angeles. I know Malibu, but not super well. And so I had to do a little bit of research and figuring out Malibu. It's a really insular community. So I had to go and figure out what is the life like in Malibu. But I had to also go to Chicago at Christmas time, which, first of all, it's like negative 900 degrees. Okay.
Yes.
And we used to go to Chicago when I was a kid for Christmas. And I just remember the windows and the shopping. And I also remember that the tears, when we would go outside, tears would freeze on my cheeks. It was so cold. And so as an adult, though, didn't really have the opportunity to spend the holidays in Chicago and look at it with a writer's eye and see what the real magic of the city was and what the real magic of the city during the holidays was. So I had to actually take a trip to Chicago and capture that magic, bottle it so I could put it on the page so that when you open it, it will evolve, unfold for you in your mind. And then you can really get that feeling of the food and the energy and the lights and be cold. That the cold, just every bit of it. I just wanted to feel visceral and tactile and just something that you're living even while you're reading. And I also had to go surfing. I've got Black girl surfing in this book. And there's so much historically that really has a lot to bear on why it seems like such a strange concept or foreign concept to envision a Black woman on a surfboard. I mean, when I thought about that, and people in the surfing community, there's a lot of Black people in the surfing community, not in a relative sense, but there's a good number of people, Black people in the surfing community. But I had to research that and I had to experience that community and I had to learn about the history of Black people in aquatic sports. And it's really an interesting story of lack of access. It's almost parallels the civil rights history of this country. There was so much that goes into how history affects what we do and don't do today. Even while we don't have legal prohibitions, there's certain barriers that exist and there's reasons why. So I had to do the research for that. And I had to do the actual physical experiential research of going out on a surfboard myself. If I'm sending my character out and I've never done it, I really wanted to make that authentic for readers. So there's just all of that wrapped up in this book.
I did love there's so many stories within your story. It's so layered. You think you're picking up this romance novel and it's the whole history of the beaching community in California, which you prominently spoke about in the book. I didn't know anything about it because
I didn't either.
I'm a Midwestern girl like you are. You're more of a Northerner, but I'm a Midwestern girl in St. Louis. So when we hear about racial problems back in the day, it's only the South that we hear about. So to hear things that happen in California, you're like, what?
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was the land of the free. Everybody wants to go to California. And so when you shared that story, I was like, wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, well, people don't. I found this all out in research. And there's a woman, Alice Jefferson, and she's a historian that focuses on Black leisure and recreation in California in particular. And she's an incredible resource if you have ever a chance to pick up one of her books and read through it. But you would be shocked to know what kind of substantive role California played in, I would say, creating obstacles to freedom for Black people, especially as it pertained to access to recreation and leisure. Slavery was never legal in California. However, So it was never a legally enforced thing, but municipalities would enforce it. So it was a de facto, like the way that people operated, the way that the police would enforce segregation and rights of white citizens over those of Black citizens was very, very much entrenched in the history in California. There were slaves that were brought to California that remained slaves in California. So there was a lot of this historically, and especially as it related to access to the beach. In Los Angeles, the beaches were segregated, I think, until around the 60s. I mean, there was only like a couple places. So I think people, I heard a lot about Bruce's Beach. There was a reason that that was necessary to have Bruce's Beach. And there was a reason why there was so much opposition within the community, within the white community, to the presence of the beach resort there that was meant for Black citizens in Southern California. So there's a lot of those stories. There's actually so many of those stories. You would not, I was shocked. So the one that I featured was, I wanted to feature a story that wasn't so well known, such as Bruce's Beach. And now there's also Ebony Beach Club that's starting to have a little bit of prevalence in the local news here, that there was Black entrepreneurs that started a beach club and it was taken from them. And so now the local municipality is starting to think about what reparations might look like. So those are the kinds of things, the stories that I wanted to tell within the story of the book, so that you really get a sense of understanding, not just accepting, oh, we don't surf or we don't swim, but that's a question of why. And then what do we do about that? This is the story about healing. This is the healing journey. So how does that play into our healing journey, and what do we need to reclaim and recapture to get our whole selves back?
Yeah, there's so much I want to say, but I can't say because people don't read the book.
Right, I know. Yeah, it's hard to do it without spoilers, right?
Because I want to ask a specific question, but that would spoil a whole scene. But so have you been surfing since you researched this book?
Not yet. I have been planning to, and I started doing some work with the local Black surfing community. There's a great event that is an annual event called a Great Day in the Stoke that happens in Huntington Beach every year. And so it's amazing. So I've been doing some work with that team, just volunteering to try to help with that based on some of the people that I've met who really helped me with the research. I talked to some incredible people, just the history of Black surfers in LA. And it's amazing. It's like, first of all, they're just like incredible to watch them on the water in the way that they can master the water and walk on the surf. Yeah, walk on the water. And it's beyond what especially being a Midwesterner. So I have every intention of getting back out there, but I've been doing more community focused interaction as of yet, but I'm going back out. I have a wetsuit. I have
like,
a plan.
I got my fit.
Once you go out there, though, I mean, once you go out there on the waves, it's like you got to get back out. It's something that will call to you. Like the water is
that energy in that water is just,
girl. There's a connection
everything
there. I had to rewrite when I wrote the scenes originally from research, I had to rewrite the whole thing after I went out there. I was like, oh, oh, no. This will never do. So yeah, once you go out there, it will call to you probably forever.
Yeah, the ocean, it definitely is a powerful force that is truly alive. And I love that we're getting back into the water because it's so important to our whole well-being to be in that water.
100%.
Now, listen, speaking of Jay, so there are parts of, let me just say this, there's parts of this that is super sexy, speaking of research. These love scenes are beautifully written. And what I love is that the women have the power in the scenes and the men are clear in their communication. What prompted that perspective? Because it's not something that we often see especially in our romance novels.
I really love writing about sex, and it's very important to me to do it well and to make it part of the story, to make it part of an extension of a character's personality. And when you say Jay is someone that is encountered on the West Coast. And he's a male character who I really loved writing him as a character. I really loved thinking about who he is. As readers read the book, you get a sense of Jay and his backstory. But he's a developed man. Like he's really spent time with introspection and evolving himself and taking a self-developmental journey, a self-actualization journey with it, and has sacrificed for that in certain ways. And so he's already coming to the table when we meet him with a lot of development that is valuable. And so, and how he expresses himself sexually is, to me, interesting to explore and see, and to see the maturity of it and what perspective does he take. And I think that as a reader, it's something that I would want to see. This is because I think that reading, in certain ways, you want to read like just beyond reality, but you also want it to be realistic enough that you feel like you had an experience that could parallel life itself. That maybe you didn't live this experience, but it's crafted with enough accuracy and authenticity that you can trust what you read. So maybe it's not an experience that you have on a daily basis or you've had yet, but it's not something you could be like, oh, that would never happen. You could be like, oh, this is amazing, and I hope this happens.
I know.
And I can see how this could happen.
And it really shifted. I was like, oh, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. I wish I had known this 30 years ago.
Right. I'm like, oh, that's what it can feel like. But that's how I always am thinking about my books. It's like, what can I bring of life where I'm augmenting it, I'm amplifying it, I'm honing it, but it's still life in the pages, and it should feel that way. And I want readers to feel like they can trust it, but let themselves go into the experience, because it's crafted within reality, and there's a journey that it's explained who he is and how he got to be the way that he is. As you read, you find that out about him. So it's not like he's not an everyday dude. Jay is not an everyday dude, but he is, but you understand why he is how he is. And it's not an impossible journey to get him there. And so that's when I'm writing about people's expressions in that way. I think it's important to put that version of sex in books. I think that's literary. It's character expression. It's an expression of the characters. It's a scene like any other scene. It's an action that has a purpose, and it's a type of conversation. And so I really take it very seriously to be able to write that authentically and well, so that it's something that is, you can feel it, read it, see it,
right,
and enjoy it.
But with even extended beyond those moments was just him as a person. Mm-hmm. And the way that you gave him you see his full humanity. And that's like Reverend Run says, he said, foreplay starts in the morning when you wake up.
That's right.
To get her ready for the evening. And women, we have to feel trust, and we have to feel safe and secure in order for us to fully open up to anyone. And this, can't talk about it, but this goes there.
I appreciate you saving people from the spoilers. I'm like, yeah, in writing it, I learned a lot too about, it's really hard to write sex well. It's like one of the hardest things to do. And I think that's why you don't see it done well that much, because it's really hard to do. And learning that from a craft perspective, I study different ways of expressing. I have certain things I don't do. Like I don't do like technical writing per se. Like sometimes you'll see like a sex scene and it'll be like very technical. It's not that. And I realize it's okay to slow this down. And in fact, that's really what the most important part of it is. The foreplay, that is it. exactly that moment per se. It's all the tension. It's all the anticipation. It's all the lead up. It's how that person meets that person in this moment of extreme vulnerability. And so it's just been one of the greatest craft exercises for me as a writer to make sure that that is on the level with everything else, if not some of the best parts of the book. That's what I hope to hear.
The sweet spots, I'll call them. They're all good parts. But
Sweet?
the sweet
Okay, sweet spot. There we go. I like it.
Hello, everyone. Monica Wisdom here. I am the host and the producer of the Black Women Amplified podcast. But what you might not know is that I'm also a consultant for women entrepreneurs. I help women entrepreneurs develop their ideas, their brand, and their overall business strategy. Are you developing a groundbreaking idea or have a wealth of knowledge that could impact the world but unsure where to go next? Business is good, but you're ready for it to be great. With countless ideas racing through your mind, it's challenging to figure out what's next. I understand. You have excelled with top companies, but entrepreneurship feels like a new language. The truth is, you can do this. You've achieved great success for others, and now it's time to achieve it for yourself. At Monica Wisdom Consulting, we focus on your vision and crafting a clear, concise, strategic plan. Your dreams are within reach. You simply need a powerful roadmap to get you there. Are you ready to take the next step? Book a call and let's discuss your vision and future. You can reach me at www.monicawisdomhq.com. There's another character. She got on my nerves.
Oh, I know who you're going to say.
No, she was something
oh my gosh.
else. Oh my goodness. I was like, girl. But here's the thing. Even in all of her stuff, and we don't have to talk about her because it's an important part of the book, but you opened us up to her humanity. Why was it important to give her a full view of who she was as a person?
Well, I think what Joan did and does through the book is very common. And what is important to realize is just because someone does a bad thing, it doesn't mean that they're 100% bad person. And in most cases, they're not. And there is some aspect of them that they're a great person, but just maybe as it pertains to you, they suck. Or they're just not who they should be. And I loved writing Joan because it made me grow. And also it reminded me of this, that at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And regardless of the actions that we take, the misconceptions that we hold, the mistakes that we make, the biases that we hold, the ways that we need to grow and improve, we still can grow and improve. Like nobody is entirely hopeless. And if we start thinking in that way, then we lose the opportunity as a societally and otherwise, where we start heading backwards. Like nobody is all any one thing. And so I love Joan because I just find her kind of like irresistible. Like she's like a train wreck. You can't stop watching.
Oh, Lord. What is she about to do?
I know. So she taught me about her as I wrote her. And I'm glad to hear you say that you saw her full humanity, because I think that is another thing for me that is important with all of my characters, that regardless of what they do, I think as long as you understand who they are and why they did what they did, and that you still have hope for them at the end, I always have hope for everybody, even at the end of the story, regardless of what they do, and that they're crafted enough as whole humans, as character, that they still have room for growth and there's still an opportunity and hope for growth.
That's beautiful. And there was hope for her. It was like, girl, let us hope.
I need hope for you.
Let us pray.
We're going to pray for you, Joan.
You're right.
We're going to pray for you.
We're going to lay hands on you, girl.
Bless your heart. I know. We need to form a prayer circle for Joan.
For Joan. Now, this book covers so many topics that we talk about here on the podcast, from self-discovery to finding your path to needing a new perspective. Outside of the book, are you having these conversations in your own life or within the Black Girl universe that you created?
Oh, well, yes, very much so. I talk about healing all the time, and that's just a theme in my life, reclaiming my internal spaces and external space within the world is just a theme. Worked on that in community with my books. The readers of my books have been very much a part of that reclamation of space and hopefully expanding space and making space for more perspectives, including perspectives like mine and perspectives that are different from mine. And then I'm always examining, what is race? Like, what is this experience? This is such a thing that has crafted this this experience of what it is to be a Black woman, what it is to be a woman. What does it mean? And I have those conversations actually all the time with friends from all different races, ethnicities, genders. If you're friends with me, we're going to talk about race. We're going to talk
Right.
about it. I'm going to tell you what happened to me. And I would expect you as a friend, you may not be able to relate, but I want you to be connected enough to me to care what happened to me or what I'm experiencing or what I'm trying to work through or what I'm trying to heal from. Even if you can't relate, that you believe me and that you care enough about me, that the most important thing of what I'm recounting to you is how it affected me. So that, and I think I'm having those conversations and throughout my life. And I think throughout, of course, throughout this community, I think that I hope this becomes a book club book. I hope that people have book clubs that have diverse perspectives, that people can examine a lot of the aspects of this. I hope it facilitates conversation. I think these are, especially as it pertains to healing, and just there's so much to talk about.
Yes.
I hope that it does start conversations that we need to have.
I agree. There's lots of places where you could just flip through the book and find a subject and a topic to talk about because there were, like I said, it's very layered. During this journey of writing this book, because you had to do so much research and to get the storytelling to be so authentic, what have you learned about yourself in writing this book?
Well, I'll tell you a quick story about when I was writing the book. It's not a secret, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but not really. Ramona has sort of this questionably racial experience. It may or may not be. I don't know. But she had something happen where she was, I won't say profiled, but something happens when she's in Melbourne. And I live in California. And in my neighborhood, I was moving and I was racially accosted in my neighborhood where I've lived for 7 years by a white woman, one of my neighbors. And she didn't know that I'm her neighbor. And she told me, I was moving a mattress. And she told me to go back to Compton with that.
Mm.
And she didn't know that I lived there for 7 years. And like, then she threatened to call the police. I never had that happen at that level to me. That was just so obvious what it was. And what happened after the fact for me was that I had to examine what happens when something like this happens to you. And I was like, I felt threatened. I felt unsafe in my own home. But the worst thing that happened was a sense of feeling disconnected from a community that I'd lived in for 7 years with all of my friends and neighbors and people I'm so close to, because I couldn't quite tell who that was. And so I found myself for a period, like looking at everybody who had blonde hair, like, are you the person was it you up 3 stories up, yelling at me from a window, threatening to call the police? And it was this loss of innocence and joy. Like I call it, it's like an interruption of joy, which I love I love my neighborhood. I love my neighbors. And so I had to decide for myself, am I going to let that be taken away from me? At the end of the day, like, is this mine or is this hers? And I decided that it was going to be hers and that I was not going to let this take away from me my enjoyment and my joy and my connection to my neighbors and my community. And that was a process that I had to go through, a healing that I had to do. And so that did, I happened to be writing the book while this happened. And so it did, because I was in the story and I had so much that was familiar to this, that was happening to the characters, it did give me a perspective that gave me part of my life back from that moment. So I learned a lot in writing Joan. I learned how to surf. But I think the main thing for me was learning a philosophy of healing. And the book is a romp. It's fun. It's a journey. It's an experience. It's a vacation. It's some sex. It's some romance. It's all of those things. But it's really fundamentally a philosophy of healing. And so that's definitely a takeaway for me in my own life.
That's beautiful, because I don't think people understand the depths of the pain, trauma, all the things that happen when we have interactions like that. And, there was a question in the book, like, when is she going to let this go? And it's hard to let go because it shifts your whole perspective of everything. It's like it shatters your ball of safety.
Right.
And it happens to all of us at different parts of at different times in our life. And I think until we get to a place where it's happened many times, can we kind of like shift out quickly. But then it also brings up every other time we've gone through it. So it's definitely an impactful moment when you are in your safe space, especially your home, and you're being accosted by somebody who has not seen you in 7 years, and you've been there for 7 years. So
right. And clearly doesn't see me as a human being or doesn't see me as a neighbor, but is seeing what their perception of me is based on the bias that they hold attached to my appearance. That's the last thing I am thinking about, especially at home. I've been whatever. I have a rainbow community, a rainbow of people that form my community here. And so I certainly not thinking about that until it's time to think about that. So that as these things happen, I think it is just important to have a toolkit to be able to keep yourself intact and keep that journey going. Like I said, I'm on a journey to become a whole person. So nobody's getting in the way of that. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't become challenging. It doesn't mean that I don't need some really strong tools to stay on course.
You said you're on the journey of becoming a whole person. What does that look like? What is that like? Just out of curiosity.
I'm still discovering that. But I think it's being the most authentic, actualized, fully realized version of myself that's available. I think when I grew up, I'm Christian, and when Jesus said, be like a child, like, what does that mean? Like, we're holding on to all of my curiosities, seeing the world with wonder, being able to imagine myself in any space and place, being able to see a neighbor or a friend in anyone, not being jaded or told what I can be or who I can be or who I should be by society that hasn't gotten it right yet.
Right.
So I'm unpacking and I'm doing all of those things. And I think for me, that's what wholeness is looking like, to not have situations and circumstances and people's bias similar to the situation I described change my experience of the things I love and enjoy, or take away my enjoyment of those things. So it's still an evolving, but I want it all. I want all of myself back. I want my whole self. I don't know. Like, I might be out here. I'm like, I might make an album, but I can't sing yet, but I might learn. I don't know. So that's where
Girl,
I
I
am.
started taking songwriting lessons. I'm like,
as you should.
Girl,
go ahead. That's right. That's right. Let's go.
And I know that it's the space we're in with our generation. And I always tell people we were the generation that were just told, go do this and forge new paths. But nobody ever said, well, what do you really want to do?
Exactly.
So now we have the time. Well, now we have the opportunity. There's more doors open. We've opened the doors. We've torn down the doors. And now we can explore and have fun, which is what I love about this book, because it's not just a romance novel. It's about two women from two different worlds exploring life.
Yes,
And
I love that.
seeing that they don't have to live like they've always lived. They don't have to live within the ideas of what the family thinks or what society thinks. They're like, oh, huh, well,
Mhm.
what's over here?
What's over here? I love that. What's over here?
So
That
we
is
get
such a good way to put it.
so we get to explore through the book our own curiosity. It's like, huh, what would I never thought about dating a guy like that. I've never thought about just picking up and going and staying in somebody's house. I mean, just the way that
Mhm.
everything opened up and unfolded is just beautiful. And you also have great characters in the trilogy, the Black Girls Must Die Exhausted series, which I love as well. And you write really powerful women. When you started your writing journey, you started self-publishing and then you moved into a 4-book deal. That doesn't happen. How did that happen?
Well, I mean, to write powerful women, I think you have to be a powerful woman to a certain degree. And I think this journey has demanded that of me. I did not start out as a powerful woman, not in that sense. I think I had potential. But when I started this, I just had a vision. And I knew what I wanted to do and I knew who I wanted to do it for. And that was enough to propel me through the steps of the journey. And I was just telling one of my friends that you don't have to have the courage you need for the whole journey. You just need to have the courage you need for today. And I think that has been very much the description for what this has been like with the self publishing. When I first wrote the Black Girls manuscript, it's not very different from the current Black Girls manuscript.
Right.
Markedly almost the same. And there's over 300 and what, 2,500, 350, something like that, 350,000 copies in print of this series. And that's just the print version. It's been translated into Portuguese and it's in development for television as television series.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. But when I wrote that first manuscript and I sent it to agents and they said, we don't find Tabby Walker relatable. We don't like her. This isn't authentic, whatever. I don't know. Bury this in a hole in the backyard. That was not acceptable to me. That's just not. Who is it? Is it? Oh my gosh, I can't think his name. He's the coach in Colorado. I can't believe I'm saying that as his name right now.
Oh,
But
Deion
Deion
Sanders.
Sanders, I love the video where he's like, "Why would I accept your opinion of me when I have an opinion of myself? Do I look like somebody who needs to hear your opinion of me? What makes you think I care?" And so I had a little bit of that flavor going on with that first manuscript just because I wanted it for myself. I wrote what I wanted to read. And I knew I had done that. And I'd given it to powerful women around me who were busy professionals. And when they came back and said, I loved it, I read it all the way through. I couldn't stop reading. I loved whatever. I knew based on my own power inside myself and the power around me that the opinion, those opinions did not apply. Those were opinions and they needed to stay there. And I had the knowledge of how to put a book out. I had put out some other books. I was practicing and learning the publishing industry all along the way with some nonfiction stuff that I was writing all along the way. So I just took everything that I learned marketing. I already worked for Lady Gaga and I did all kinds of a platinum album that I experienced that I'd already had, all that kind of stuff. So I put all that together because that was know-how that I had collected throughout life doing the what's over there journey. And so it was a step by step, and definitely the community came and started supporting, and it emboldened me to keep going and keep believing in myself. And part of what has allowed me to believe in myself has been that I never stopped working on my craft. I'm like, okay, you know what? You could tell me no, I guess, but I'm going to be the best writer that you can possibly encounter. Now, whether that's true today, tomorrow, 10 days, whatever, 10 years from now, I'm already telling you what's up, where I'm headed, what I'm doing every day. When I wake up in the morning, when would you say Reverend Run said foreplay starts in the morning? Well, I start in the morning working on my craft. I start early in the morning and I finish very late at night and I work on it every day. So I'm about this and I continue to be about this. So that is what also allows me to believe in myself. It's like, you can't outwork me. Nobody can outwork me. Nobody will. And so this is just going to be that continuous journey where I'm going to keep putting out work. I'm going to keep raising the bar on myself. And I'm going to keep making things that I ultimately would love to read that bring me so much joy. The best thing about the most wonderful time and talking about this with you is that you love it and to hear you love it because I love it. I love it so much. Oh, you can't see it over here, but I'm like bursting with joy just thinking about that book because I love that book. I know what I put into that book. I know what my editor helped me put into that book, how we honed it and crafted it and picked one word over another word and really thought about it and had conversations that led to tears and how I got on a surfboard to make sure that I bottled that energy of the ocean itself. So to me, that is what it's about. I love what I'm doing, not what I'm doing, just the actual activity of it, but what I'm doing in terms of what I'm producing. I love it. And I wouldn't put it out if I didn't. So that's what powers me, that I can bring that something I really, really did with love to as many people as possible. That is the day by day of it. And that's how the journey keeps going.
Well, you can definitely feel your passion in the pages of this book. And I think that's
I'm
why
so glad.
I literally read it. I stopped what I was doing because I started reading. And I'm like, okay, I got to get this done. And then I just stopped everything. And in about 2 days, I was finished with the book and then mad I was done.
Oh, no.
Because at the end, I was like, no, wait, what? Oh, so is there a part 2 coming?
I don't know. We'll see if everyone demands it. I would not mind revisiting those characters. I was thinking like, what would part 2 be? So that might be a conversation that we all wind up having in Mac. If people love the book and it becomes something that people ask for, I would consider revisiting those characters in their world. There's more story to tell for sure with those books.
Definitely. Now, before we get out of here, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked you in our previous interview. When is the memoir coming? Before you answer, I had to tell people, this is a Renaissance woman. She is simply an author, as we know her, but she's also a former music industry executive, an attorney, a Harvard grad attorney. Dang. She's an serial entrepreneur. She's opened brands and she's even partnered with QVC to have her own beauty brand. So you're an awesome storyteller, but you also have an incredible story. And you can't say no. We're just going to say when.
Well, I will tell you that I am working on a memoir right now. It's not the memoir that I think you're talking about, but it is a memoir. So I will say that. And hopefully we have to put a book proposal together when you're doing nonfiction. And I'm about 85% of the way done with that. So there will be a memoir coming. Which is the beginning of the way to the memoir. But I have
Well, there's always volume 1, volume 2, volume 3.
Girl.
Because we're just gonna make you the trilogy queen.
I know, right? Oh my God.
If George Lucas can do it, so can you.
Amen to that. I will take that. Yeah.
So what is on the horizon for Jayne Allen?
Well, I'm working on a book project right now in collaboration with another writer that hopefully will be announced in the fall. I'm very excited about that. It's my first time collaborating. And then I have a new book series that I've been working on that is, I guess it's this in a romanticy vein. It's romance. It's a romance story. And I was thinking I like complicated romances. And so I was like, well, I want to do something. If I want to do romance, it's got to be really complex. And so the seed of this idea, I was like, well, would be really complicated if he was trying to kill her. Like he was supposed to kill her. And I'm like, yes. So these are the two leads. I know it's like a big
Hugh Jordan
separation.
Peele.
I know. No, it's definitely paranormal. There's a fantasy element to it. And I don't want to say too much because it's in with my publisher right now. They're looking at the pitch that we put together. But I've definitely headed in another direction, just wanting to do something new and use my imagination a little bit more. So these characters have supernatural abilities. And there's a reason why this guy thinks that he has to kill her. I mean, it's complicated. And so that's just part of the story about how they interact and the tension of that once she finds out that she's actually in danger, and it's in danger from this particular guy. So I've conceptualized this story already. It is intended to be a trilogy because I'm the trilogy. You said it. I'm the trilogy.
I said it.
But I'm just trying to think that I think would be interesting page turners. I want to do something something hot and steamy and full of tension and some interesting characters that have abilities beyond what is in the natural realm. So that's something that I'm working towards right now.
The sci-fi girl in me is excited.
Girl, I was like, I feel like people are ready to take it a step further. And it's just a little bit more imagination, but I think people are ready for it. So,
well, this has been a wonderful conversation. I'm going to put a link on the website in the show notes so that people can pre-order the book. And I just want to know, how can people plug into your world?
Well, I am often on Instagram, Jayne Allen Writes, JayneAllen Writes on Instagram. And my website is jayneallen.com. So you can sign up for my newsletter, which I need to send more often. And I'm going on tour for the book. So stay tuned for maybe in a city near you one day, people listening. And that's, I'll be on tour in the fall. And I'm very excited, very excited. So I just can't wait for people to get this book and start talking about it so we can all be in conversation. That's what my Instagram is for. People leave messages. I'm in constant conversation with people still about Black girls. And that book first came out in 2018 and then again in 2021 in the second edition. And I'm still in daily conversation with people about Black girls on Instagram. So I love it. I'm ready for this new book.
And here's the thing, the things you were talking about in that book in 2018, it's like at the forefront now. People weren't talking about it back then. It was like, what's going on? And now everybody's like, wait a minute, I need a doula. I need a midwife.
Right.
I need all the things. Yes.
So just imagine, I'm a little bit ahead of time. I'm an Aquarius. So this is how we roll. We're a little bit ahead. So I'm like, you just read my book and then you'll be ready for what's coming. So now you've read The Most Wonderful Time. So you know what to be looking out for.
The prophetess has spoken.
I'm like, the Aquarius in me has delivered.
I'm telling you, when I read this book, I was like, oh my God, my girlfriends and I are all having these conversations. Like, what's next? Is this it?
Mm-hmm. What's over there? What's over there is the new, what's over there?
What's over there? Like, who's over there?
Right?
Woo. Yeah, another conversation, but
for real.
Thank you so much for joining us again in this full circle moment. It is always a pleasure and an honor to speak with you. And as always, I wish you the very, very best in this book release and everything coming in your future. It's always so bright. You are the mad manifestor. I'll just say that.
Oh, well
don't tell her no.
That's right. That's just a starting point. No is just a starting point. So thank you. Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. I've had a great time.
You are always welcome back. This is one of your homes. So we will talk to you soon. And hopefully the next time you have been back surfing and you're working on part 2 of The Most Wonderful Times. Everybody have an amazing day, and we will see you on the next episode. Take care.
Thank you for listening to Black Women Amplified. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to subscribe and log on to blackwomenamplified.com for more information. Keep shining.